Folks, on Saturday, voters in New Orleans will elect their next mayor. Three frontrunners have emerged from a crowded field of 11 candidates vying for the position. Louisiana State Senator Russ Duplessis, City Council Vice President Helena Marino, and City Council Member Oliver Thomas. They're competing to replace Mayor Latoya Cantrell, who is term limited and will leave office in January. Cantrell is currently facing federal corruption charges. New Orleans City Council Member Oliver Thomas joins us right now. Councilman Thomas, glad to have you back on the show.
Man, good to be back with you,
A
Roland.
lot of folks have been voting early. Black turnout is high as well. Most important, your top three priorities if you're elected mayor of New Orleans.
Well, first of all, to make sure that this little crime surge we have right now is stymied and we can have a safe community. And then the delivery of city services has really kind of fallen apart. People really want and expect that if they're going to pay their taxes, if they're going to pay the city, that they should get their services on time. And then the last thing is, how do we come together to protect this community? We've been under siege, we see, by threats, outside threats from the federal government, as well as we need to have a better relationship with our state. Our state needs to be more partner than predator. But those are three things, along with having some of the most qualified people to run those departments. I'm going to be looking at those areas.
One of the things that jumps out, obviously, economic revitalization. You're still trying to recover, frankly, from Katrina. Businesses left, people left, rebuilding your housing infrastructure. What's your plan for that?
Well, Louisiana is losing population. The metro region is losing population. But the crazy thing is that we attract people. We punch way above our weight when you talk about tourism. We're one of the most visited places in the world per capita. We need to build on that. I have a plan for 10,000 houses, bring together housing experts. Let's use a lot of nonprofits that were successful in the past. Let's take a look at how we reprogram CBDG funds for soft seconds. How do we use the Good Neighbor program and the Teacher Next Door program that are successful around the country to make sure that teachers, law enforcement personnel, and others can get an opportunity, even in many cases with their meager salaries, can get an opportunity to own a home in our community. So I was the first person out with the 10,000 Homes program, and I really want to mimic some of the success that happened here, as well as what happens around the country. Look, one thing we know, we have space.
One of the things that also is the public trust. And look, there have been way too many New Orleans mayors, city council members who have been indicted, guilty, gone to prison for corruption. How do you gain the public's trust and let them know that you're going to be different than what has happened in the past, unfortunately?
Well, first of all, I'm much better because of what I went through. I want to have an office of ethics and integrity that's transparent, so people can see at every time that we're working hard to establish that trust. But one of the most difficult things that we're going to have to do in this country, as well as in local communities, people don't trust the political system. We're going to gain that trust by our actions to make sure that we're above and beyond board, our principles, our integrity. We lead, and I'm committed to doing that. I want to be the first mayor to have an office of public trust and integrity. We're going to lead with that, and we're going to work hard to earn the citizens' trust. But like most folk who fell down, I really think I offer an opportunity to a community that's struggling to show how we can get up. Just because you fall down doesn't mean you stay down. In many cases, your lowest point may be a way that you can look up to see that we can get to our highest point. And New Orleans deserves the very best from me and all of government.
Questions from our panel. Congo, you first.
Yes, I'm very passionate about education, and one of the things I'm wondering is, even with Trump's targeted attacks and what they're doing across the country, they just have very blind policies that they are creating across all departments that are having real impact in local communities. Given what is happening with the Department of Education in this country, how do you support local education initiatives with everything that they are doing in terms of cuts and just getting rid of various programs from DEI and the like?
Well, that's one of the things that I built my reputation on. I won the Jefferson Award for taking kids who were failing and putting them on the honor roll. I was a Meal of the Year by the social workers here in New Orleans for the mentoring and the work that I do. I grew up in the Lower Ninth Ward, Desire, one of the poor communities in this city. And that doesn't mean anything in terms of your intellect, but also I want to be the first mayor that has an Office of Education that works hand in hand with the superintendent. And I'm the only elected official that has an after-school program. That's part of my life, man. That's part of what I'm committed to. And those awards that I won, those awards were before I got elected, which shows that you don't have to get involved in education and get involved with our kids just because you have a political title. That's a way of life for me.
Niambi?
Yeah, so thank you for speaking with us tonight. And I wanted to know, what do you think the healthcare climate is meaning for your city? And in particular, I'm thinking about maternal mortality for Black women, not just in the city of New Orleans, but in the state as a whole, access to STI screenings, birth control, and contraception. Like, how do you address that?
Well,
Because I imagine it matters.
yeah, that's something that I deal with. I started the first mental health show, Mentally Speaking, 10 years ago on WBOK. I wasn't elected, but as someone who grew up in a neighborhood that saw his first body, my brother and I, when we were in elementary school, I understand the effects of mental health trauma. When you talk about STDs in this community, over the last 10 or 11 years, Black women have led in HIV and sexually transmitted diseases. Louisiana is 44th in health care. So whether it's mental health, physical health, this community deserves, I think, a national like trauma center that takes a look at mental health and chronic illnesses. We lead. New Orleans flips back and forth with St. Louis and Detroit when you talk about chronic illnesses here. So that's something that I lended a platform to. That as mayor, I want to have a health department that focuses on chronic illnesses, especially in our largest demographic, the African American community. So that's already part of my life. So you can make sure that that's going to be a priority in my administration.
Thank you.
Zabora?
Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for being on here. You talked about expanding housing and neighborhood programs, and I want to know, how will you make sure that disabled and deaf residents aren't just included on paper, but are fully centered in these programs and getting housing and ensuring that they are accessible, affordable, and designed with those individuals in mind?
Well, it seems like every question you guys are asking is in line with my resume. My family, my late sister, Juliet, was disabled. She had cerebral palsy. It was a difficult time getting around with my family in a city that didn't have access. And one of the other things I did, one of the icons, heroes, as a matter of fact, there are neutral grounds with his picture on it, Charles Toubre. I worked with him several years ago to make sure that we brought light to whether it was disabled access, the ADA, buses where the disabled can access. And as we begin to construct new buildings and new housing and new places to live, we are missing out in this country on billions of dollars just because families and folk with disabilities can't access commercial places or can't access public spaces. So this is something I had to grow up with. This is something that I'm going to continue to work with. So though my late sister is not here and Charlie Toubre isn't here, that's ingrained into who I am.
Right then. Well, again, the election is on Saturday. And then just 5 days up to campaign. Councilman Thomas, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you guys. Continue to do what you do and leading the way and not only speaking truth to power, but doing it from a power position. We appreciate that. That's what I want to do as mayor.
All right. Thanks so much.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.